Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is our mucking fun day. So we're covering everything that we missed on the weekend or new things that have dropped today. Because, the news is always going and it's mucking fun day. Welcome to Before Coffee, the new show in which we prepare news like 15 minutes before the show starts and then tell you what it is, groggily as Rog has just woken up. I'm going to try to add that intro every time to the show because I have to remind myself there's new people watching all the time. They have no idea what's going on. So if you're confused why we can't speak properly and we don't even know what our stories are about, that's why. Let's get into our headlines. What stories have we found today? Today on Before Coffee, EU gives the green light to the nature restoration law after months of a blockade.
And the strong U.S. economy keeps humming along, although morons will insist otherwise.
Coming out of the Ukraine conference, 78 of the SWIFT conference agree that Ukraine's territorial integrity must be a basis of any peace.
And in weather news, it's June 17th, so we're talking about snow and the wacky weather of the United States.
For our culture segment, the Tony Awards 2024, Stereophonic, Merrily We Roll Along, and The Outsiders win big.
Those stories and more, which is National Eat Your Vegetables Day, June 17th, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Alrighty, are you having a Monday? I won't say good or bad, it's just Monday. And I do have some good news though, for people who care about the environment, which is me. I care about the environment. The landmark EU Nature Restoration Plan gets the green light despite months of protests by farmers. This is from Samuel Petroquin on AP News. Coming out of Brussels, European Union countries on Monday, which is today, June 17th, gave a final approval to a major and long-awaited plan to better protect nature in the 27-nation bloc, a divisive issue after months of protest by farmers who argued that the EU environmental and climate laws were driving them towards bankruptcy. After surviving a razor-thin vote by lawmakers last summer, the so-called Nature Restoration Plan faced opposition from several member states, leaving the bill deadlocked for months. The law, which is aimed at restoring ecosystems, species, and habitats in the EU, was finally adopted at a meeting of environmental ministers at Luxembourg after rallying the required support for a qualified majority representing 15 of the 27 member states and 65% of the EU population. Austria's decision to finally support the plan helped to break the stalemate. Thanks, Austria, you finally realized, hey, wait a minute, we only have one planet left. We should do something about it. This is the final step before the law can enter in force, said the Belgian presidency of the EU Council. The Nature Restoration Plan is part of the EU's European Green Deal that seeks to establish the world's most ambitious climate and biodiversity targets and make the bloc the global point of reference on all climate issues. Under the plan, member states will have to meet restoration targets for specific habitats, and species to cover at least 20% of the region's land and sea areas by 2030. Well, you've only got 6 years, so get to it. The result of hard work has paid off, said Belgian Environmental Minister Alain Marin. There can be no pause in protecting our environment. The EU Council makes the choice to restore nature in the EU, protecting its biodiversity and our living environment. Austria's Environmental Minister, Leonora Gewessler, voted for the plan after months of domestic political debate. I was trying to decide how to say that word because my Dutch brain was going to pronounce it totally different. The move by Gewessler, a member of the Green Party, infuriated the senior partner in the coalition government, Chancellor Karl Nehammer's conservative Austrian People's Party, ahead of a national election set for September 29th. So this person, so they're part of the Green Party. They wanted to make the choice to actually accept the Green Deal, but unfortunately the chancellor of their government did not like the Green Deal and was pressuring them to not. My conscience tells me unmistakably that when the healthy and the happy life of future generations is at stake, courageous decisions are needed. Gay Wessler told everyone on Twitter. Ahead of the vote, the Chancellery said Nehammer informed the Belgian EU presidency that a vote in favor of the plan by Gay Wessler would be unlawful. The Austria press agency reported. Nehammer's office said that after the decision that Austria will file suit at the European Court of Justice to nullify the vote. Oh, I see. They're a rogue politician. You're not following what the coalition wants. We all agreed that we're not voting for this. Fuck you guys. I care about the planet. I'm voting for it because I have the power to vote for it. In the build-up to the EU elections, they saw a shift to the right earlier this month. European farmers complained about the many environmental laws governing the way they work. Hey, European farmers, you're not going to have any land to farm if you continue to destroy it. Just saying. If you want to continue being... Are they just trying to rake in all the cash before they have to abandon their farms because there's no water and all the land's dried out? I don't know what their plan is. But, yeah. Oh, their livelihoods are being harmed and they're strangling with red tape. Well, some people are strangling from dying. From having no food or water. But, you know, I'm sorry about that red tape that's hurting you so much. I do not have sympathy for any of these farmers who are complaining. I'm sorry. It's just... It's not like they're not getting paid. It's not like the government is saying... They're not crop workers or like crop sharers where the government is like, thank you for making all these crops. You're not getting any money for it. Thanks a lot. You're just slaves. You know, they're still getting money for selling their goods on the market. So what are they complaining about? That it's making it harder for them. Because soon we might have to have crop sharers because people won't be able to do anything and the world will be on fire. The environmental organization and a coalition of big companies insisted last year, there's the key word there, coalition of big companies, so they're not even the people working on the farms, insisted last year that the legislation was crucial to tackle both climate change and nature loss. But the plan lost some of its progressive edge during negotiations because of the fierce opposition from the EU Parliament's main political group, the EPP, which, along with other conservatives and the far right, has insisted the plans would undermine food security, fuel inflation, and hurt farmers. With red tape, of course. Greenpeace said a failure by the EU governments to approve the law would have been embarrassing ahead of the next UN biodiversity meeting in Colombia in October. Despite the weakening of the law, the deal offers a ray of hope for Europe's nature, future generations, and the livelihoods of rural communities, said Greenpeace biodiversity campaigner Spelga Bandelj Ruse. Healthcare ecosystems often protection against extreme weather, water shortages, and pollution. So, as you can see, I'm radically for any sort of government regulations that help the planet not burn to death. And I don't want to hear any farmers complain about it, because honestly, farmers are part of the problem with all of their agricultural emissions, like methane, which is definitely not helping with the heating of the planet. I appreciate people going out there and doing the hard work of, growing food and, cattle and sheep and all those other things that farmers do. But where are you gonna farm once the planet burns to a crisp? I just don't understand the logic there. For me, it's just a capitalist motive. They want to make as much money, have the most profits, and they hate that some of their profits are going to be less because they have to follow regulations. And I just can't agree with that. Your story.
Okay, well, again, the farmers are going to be complaining their entire time they're farmers.
Yep.
So get used to that, because I was a farmer, and growing up on a farm, the weather will never cooperate in the history of farming, ever.
Why is it raining this week? I needed to rain in 3 weeks.
Right. So it's not an easy job. It seems like an easy job. You just stay home all day, but it isn't really.
I know it's not
hard,
easy.
It's hard. So,
that's why I preface that. I appreciate them, but you need to make a choice here. There needs to be some sort of saving the planet, guys.
I'm against rich farmers, corporate farms, because they destroy the environment and basically
like Purdue.
They poison the soil. Yeah,
and Monsanto.
All rich farmers, but your common, ordinary, hard scrabble living from paycheck to paycheck, trying to, and not necessarily have to struggle to be a farmer. You can be a well-off, good farmer and not be wealthy, and that's fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, as long as you're just like, let me poison the land.
Yeah.
Other than that.
I mean, I think a lot of farmers don't realize that they have a business, and when you have a business, you have risks. And those risks may be, you don't make enough crops for this year, so you're in the red. That's normal, but it seems like there's a lot of people out there who own businesses that are successful, and they're complaining that they had to take a risk in order to own the business. Like, yeah, welcome to business owning. You take a risk, sometimes it doesn't pan out. That's just, you have to
and other
plan for that.
Yeah, it's and again, they're subsidized in America to a great deal. So farmers, especially the rich ones, never struggle. They even get subsidized free water, which other people would have to pay for. U.S. hiring and wage growth picked up last month as a sign of sustained economic health. This is from AP News. Christopher Rugaber. America's employers added a strong 272,000 jobs in May, accelerating from April, a sign that companies are still confident enough in the economy to keep hiring despite persistent high interest rates, which is your signal to lower the interest rate so we can really get the economy going and get people borrowing and buying homes and stuff. But the Fed doesn't want to do that. They want to hurt the economy for some strange reason. They think it's going to drive inflation. People get busier working. Oh, inflation. Ooh. So afraid of inflation. That was, again, inflation, in case you were thinking it was caused by some evil government scheme or something, it was caused by huge companies taking huge profits. And that's all it was caused by. They used the supply chain shortages to jack up prices to astronomical levels, an overreaction. And as you see, CEOs got huge bonuses. Every huge company that made money off the inflation never lower their prices. They just jack them up and leave them there. Last month's sizable job gains, here's what they do. They jack up their prices, make the, as they call it, the shrinkflation. They make the package smaller. And they make your Happy Meal smaller, or whatever, they cut the burger by 1% at your restaurant. You don't notice it. Last month's sizable job gains suggested that the economy is still growing steadily, propelled by consumer spending on travel, entertainment, and other services. U.S. airports, for example, reported near record traffic over Memorial Day weekend. A healthy job market typically drives consumer spending, the economy's principal fuel. You want to see how the economy's doing? That is a good idea. Go to the airport. See how full the flights are. You will say, wow, people have money to waste on fucking airplane travel. The economy must be doing good. Though some recent signs had raised concerns about economic weakness, the May jobs report should help assuage those fears. Friday's report from the government did include some signs of a potential slowdown. The unemployment rate, for instance, edged up for a second straight month to still low 4% from 3.9, ending a 27-month streak of unemployment below 4. That streak had matched the longest run since the late 1960s. Why would the unemployment rate go when jobs rate go up? It's just a matter of timing. They're probably taking different readings at different times. That's my guess. President Joe Biden pointed to Friday's jobs report as a sign of the economy's robust health under his administration. He also charged that congressional Republicans would worsen inflation by cutting health care subsidies and widening the deficit through tax cuts. Put the Republicans in charge and I'm leaving the planet. Oh, God, what a nightmare. What a nightmare party. They have no leader. Donald Trump's their leader, which means they have no leader. The presumption the Republican nominee, Trump, has focused criticism. Who cares what he's done? Blah, blah, blah. At a rally, blah, blah. Who cares what he said at a rally? That's not news. Economists say the mixed signals of Here's the thing. Let's not put a fucking paragraph in the middle of the fucking report talking about Trump. Let's talk about the fucking economy, you piece of shit paper. Economists, I'm sorry, it's AP, it's not a paper, but Jesus, who is this guy? Christopher Rugaber. Dude, a paragraph about Trump doesn't mean shit in this fucking article, okay? Doesn't add to it, it's just a waste. I'm not going to read it. Economists say the mixed signals from Friday's report, a surge in jobs alongside the slight rise in unemployment, suggest that the job market is normalizing after years of distortions related to the pandemic. After the brutal pandemic recession, when unemployment rocketed to nearly 15%, hiring soared in 22 and 23 as the economy recovered. Wages, before adjusting for inflation, also jumped as businesses desperately sought workers. Employment growth is continuing at a solid pace, but there are ample signs that the heat in the labor market over the past few years largely has been removed. Whatever that means, says Sarah House, an economist at Wells Fargo. Makes sense out of his sentence. Employment growth has continued at a solid pace, but there are ample signs that the heat in the labor market over the past few years largely has been removed. What does that even mean? What does it even mean? The heat in the labor market has been... No idea what that even means. Economists talking gibberish. The number of open jobs, while still elevated, has fallen to a 3-year low. Fewer workers are quitting jobs. Many employers say it's become easier to find workers to fill positions. But growth in hourly paychecks accelerated last month, a welcome gain for workers, but one that could contribute to inflation. I doubt it. Wages rose 4.1% from a year ago, above the inflation rate. Some companies may raise their prices to offset. Again, another guy saying things without any proof or evidence, just shit he makes up in the back of his head. Like, okay, yeah, you're right. Some companies may raise their prices. You're right. They might raise their prices for any damn reason. But what does that have to do with this report? Terrible writing. Terrible writing. God. The Federal Reserve inflation fighters would like to see the economy slow as they consider when to begin cutting their benchmark interest rates. Really? The economy's not going to slow. That's not the reason to cut interest rates. Cut interest rates because people are paying too much for shit. How about that? How about thinking about the people in the economy instead of some number that you're shooting at? The Fed sharply raised its rates at 2022 and 2023 after recovery from the pandemic recession ignited the we're just going to act like the recovery ignited inflation. Supply chains and greed ignited inflation. Okay, recovery from the pandemic, yes. I guess that's a way to say we don't know what caused it, but you do know what caused it. Friday's report will likely underscore Fed officials' intention to delay any cuts in their key rate while they monitor inflation and economic data. Of course, the Fed officials think they can control inflation. They can bring it down. They can't. They can't bring it down. They can only make it go up. Sorry, you're wrong. You're making an assumption based on things that have happened in the past that had nothing to do with it, the actual reality on the ground. Cutting interest rates is not necessarily automatically cause inflation. That's nonsense. It's nonsense. You're making money cheap for one thing. You're making it cheaper. How can that cause inflation? Oh, people are going to borrow more. Not really. Not necessarily. Anyway, back to, though Chair Jerome Powell has said he expects inflation to further ease, he said the Fed's policymakers need more confidence that inflation will fall back to 2% target before they reduce borrowing costs. They're still stuck on that number. Annual inflation has declined to 2.7 by the Fed's preferred measure from above 7% in 2022. So about a third of what it was, but that's not enough for them. Yeah, it's 2.7. We need a bit too. That's never gonna happen. Yeah, Biden didn't appoint this guy anyway. This Powell, Jerome Powell, supported by convicted felon Trump appointed this guy. I mean, he's just a one size fits all Fed guy. I mean, they all think the same. Oh, we're important. We can control everything, so we're going to keep tight lid on that credit for people. The report is going to complicate the Fed's job, said Julia Pollack, chief. Nothing complicates their job. They don't do anything. Last month, hiring occurred broadly across most of the economy, but gains were particularly robust in healthcare, which added 84,000 jobs, and restaurants, hotels, and entertainment providers, which gained 42,000 entertainment providers. Governments added 43,000 positions. Professional and business services, which include managers, architects, and information technology, grew 33,000. One company that's steadily hiring is Rokavia, a health provider based in Phoenix that treats mental health, substance abuse, and chronic pain. CEO Lance Fritz said the company plans to open 3 clinics in the next 12 months, each of which will employ 12 to 14 people. So we're going to cut off the story right there. Sorry for all the editorializing, but when they put a story about economics and they start putting these things in there that are just opinions of the writer instead of actual facts, that's a little crazy to me. It's like, oh, we have to interject politics into this. We have to say Donald Trump said something about it. Donald Trump says something totally erroneous, totally false, based on nothing but his own brain, and we got to report it. Oh, we don't. He's not an economist. He's not even a smart person. He's a con man. Why do we got to quote this con man? To be fair? He's not fair. Nothing fair about Trump. Screw that guy. He's a criminal. He's a convicted criminal. We got to keep quoting him? Come on, AP, do better. Back to you.
Okay. Ranting aside,
ranting at every story.
Inflation is just impossible to ever beat. There's only one country, right? I think we talked about it a few months back, that's even in deflation, and it's very hard to even reach deflation, especially with such a volatile country as the U.S., which has a lot of fingers and many pies. You know, they're being influenced by the global market constantly. I think it's impossible for the U.S. If the U.S. only had like one economy and just by itself over there, you know, maybe they could get to deflation or 2%, but they're constantly being, what's going on over there? Oh, great. There goes our inflation because, you know, Norway's oil ruptured in the ocean somewhere, and now we're affected by that. You know, that's kind of how the global economy works. It's always moving and changing and affecting each other. So. And speaking of many countries influencing each other, there we go, segue. We've got the 78 countries at the Swiss conference who agree that Ukraine needs its territorial integrity. This is from Jamie Keaton on AP News, coming out of Olbergen, Switzerland. Nearly 80 countries called Sunday for the territorial integrity of Ukraine to be the basis of any peace agreement to end Russia's 2-year war. That's right, that means what Putin asked for last Friday, like leaving the 3 regions they've currently conquered, or not conquered, starts with the O, can't think of the word, but
word for what?
For when a country occupied. Putin was asking that Ukraine abandon all the occupied territories and just let the Russian citizens living there just become Russian. And that's not going to happen because 80 countries have agreed that their territorial integrity must be kept. The joint communique capped a 2-day conference marked by the absence of Russia, who, as I was looking at news stories before the show, are all reporting, according to Russian news agencies, that the meeting was a waste of time because, of course, the propagandists will tell you, don't go to that, it's a waste of time. Don't agree with these people that we should leave the Ukrainians alone. Many attendees expressed hope that Russia might join in an on-road map to peace in the future. The all-out war since President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 has killed and injured hundreds or thousands of people, unsettled markets for goods like grain and fertilizer, driven millions from their homes, and carved a wedge between the West, which has sanctioned Moscow, and Russia, China, and some other countries. About 100 delegations, mostly Western countries, attended the conference that was billed as a first step towards peace. They included presidents and prime ministers from France, Germany, Britain, Japan, Poland, Argentina, Ecuador, Kenya, and Somalia. The Holy See was also represented, and Vice President Kamala Harris spoke for the United States. India, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and South Africa, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates, represented by foreign ministers or lower-level envoys, were among countries that did not sign the final document, which focuses on issues of nuclear safety, food security, and the exchange of prisoners. Brazil, an observer, did not sign on, but Turkey did. China did not attend. So neither Russia or China attended this conference. They were hoping Russia would show up, but of course they didn't, because they said it was a waste of time. The final document, signed by 78 countries, said the UN Charter and respect for territorial integrity and sovereignty can and will serve as a basis for achieving a comprehensive, just and lasting peace in Ukraine. That has been a non-starter for Putin, who wants Ukraine to cede more territory and back away from its hopes of joining the NATO military alliance. Viola Amherd, the Swiss president, told a news conference that the great majority of participants agreed that the final document, which shows what diplomacy can achieve. Foreign Minister Ignacio Cassis said Switzerland would reach out to Russian authorities, but did not say what the message would be. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed the first step towards peace at the meeting and said Ukraine was in talks with some countries, which he did not name, that had offered to host a second peace summit. No timetable was laid out. Zelensky earlier this month accused China, backed by Russia, of attempting to undermine the Swiss conference, a claim denied by Beijing. Allies of Ukraine now face the task of trying to keep a momentum forward peace. Zelensky said national security advisors would meet in the future, and there will be a specific plan afterwards. Testifying to war fatigue and other preoccupations, only about half of UN member countries took part. It's a far cry from a March 2022, when condemnation of Russian invasion led to a passage of a non-binding resolution at the UN General Assembly by 141 countries calling for Russian troops to leave Ukraine. But for some reason they just stopped telling them to leave, or like, hey, you should leave. No! Oh, okay. Now what do? We told them to leave. It wasn't clear why some developing countries attending didn't line up behind the final statement, but they may be hesitant to rankle Russia or have cultivated a middle ground between Moscow and its ally China and mustered powers backing Kyiv. Some did not sign, even though very few, since they are playing let's have peace based on concession game, and they usually mean concessions by Ukraine, and basically accommodating Russian demands, said Vladimir Dubovik, a Ukrainian expert and senior fellow at the Center of European Policy Analysis, a Washington-based think tank. They also think this neutrality positioning. Yes. Dubovik said that the way forward is for Ukraine was to receive aid, weapons, and humanitarian assistance that could improve its situation on the ground and thus give it a better negotiating position. At the Swiss event, the challenge was to talk tough on Russia but open the door for it to join a peace initiative. Many countries wanted the involvement of representatives of Russian Federation, Zelensky said. At the same time, the majority of countries do not want to shake hands with them, Russian leaders, so there are various opinions in the world. Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Union's Executive Commission, said peace won't be achieved in a single step and asserted that Putin isn't serious about ending the war. Since he's offering concessions that are just not possible. Hey, just give us all your territory and we'll end the war. Are you serious right now? What do you think they're fighting for? For you to get the fuck out. Why the hell would they just, oh, you know what? Russia, here you go. You win. It's basically surrendering at that point. At the Swiss event, the challenge was to talk tough on Russia but open the door for the joint peace negotiations. Oh wait, we already did that one. Sorry. He's insisting on capitulation. He's insisting on seceding Ukrainian territory, even territory that today is not occupied by him, she said. He is insisting on disarming Ukraine, leaving it vulnerable to future aggression. No country would ever accept those outrageous terms, especially since they already did it with Crimea, and look what happened. 2014, 10 years later, hey, I got more soldiers, I got more tanks, let's invade the entirety of Ukraine now. Yeah, you can't trust this guy.
Right.
He's, oh yeah, just give me Crimea and I'll leave him alone. That's what he said in 2014, and look at us now. An analyst suspected the conference would have little concrete impact towards ending the war because Russia was not invited. China and Brazil had jointly sought to plot alternative routes towards peace. Qatar's Prime Minister, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al-Thani said on Saturday, which was June 15th, that his rich Gulf country hosted talks with both Ukrainian and Russian delegations on the reunification of Ukraine and children with their families, and so far resulted in 34 children being reunited. The Ukrainian government believes that 19,546 children have been deported or forcibly displaced, and Russian Children's Rights Commissioner Maria Lvova-Belova previously confirmed that at least 2,000 were taken from Ukrainian orphanages. In Kyiv, a regular demonstration by relatives of soldiers captured by Russia, the response to Swift's gathering was muted. I would really like to believe that this conference will have an impact, but some very important countries did not sign the communique, said Yana Chirok, 56, whose army serviceman's son has been in captivity since 2022. I would really like them to find powerful levers of influence on Russia. Yeah, I mean, the powerful level of influence at this point is bombing Russia, I think. I don't know. I think this protracted... like, what diplomacy do we have? We have no leverage other than, stop that! Or we're gonna wag our finger at you. Stop doing that, Russia. You're being a bad boy. And that's all we're doing.
Lots of leverage.
What's our leverage? We're not threatening to bomb Russia because we don't want a world war. So we're not gonna do that.
We seized their assets.
Yeah, we've been doing that for 2 years.
They're billionaires that Putin owns, a bunch of billionaires. He owns 100 billionaires.
At this point, we're just waiting for somebody to run out of resources, and that's why it's going to be a prolonged war.
The Afghanistan effect to creep into their thinking, as the Vietnam effect creeps in our thinking. Maybe there's not a lot of Russians alive that remember Afghanistan. Maybe that's a problem. Afghanistan, when was that? Because they got out in like the early 80s.
Yeah.
Or late 80s. They're probably there 10 years, so it's probably late 80s. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're waiting for the Afghanistan effect. Everybody's opposed to Russia being there except for a couple of countries.
For Ukraine's sake, I hope it works.
Well, not in the way it worked for Afghanistan, because in the end they just fell to the Taliban, and Osama bin Laden's was the Mujahideen who we were funding. Don't forget, we funded Osama bin Laden when he was fighting the Russians.
Yep.
Yes, we did.
I'm mostly worried about this topic because of the anti-immigrant sentiment that's rising around in Europe. Unfortunately, a lot of Ukrainians are taking that as are being included in that. But they're not immigrants, they're refugees. Right? They're trying to escape war.
Yeah.
And somebody who's forcing them to become Russian citizens and throwing their passports away. So, which is illegal. You can't force people to become a part of your country. But, nobody's going to arrest... I mean, Putin is...
Illegal.
Putin is technically, wanted for breaking many, many laws, including that one. But, there's already been plenty of bad things happen to Ukrainians in Germany and the Netherlands. Even locally, there's been kids, bullying Ukrainian kids. And it's just why? They're just refugees, they didn't ask for the country to be invaded by Russia. So that's all I'm worried about is the human impact.
Of original thought. Morons are people who are capable of original thought. So they just do what they're told or do what they see behavior that is wrong. They don't think and go, gee, is that wrong? Unfortunately, we're stuck with a lot of people like that. Probably, I don't know what percentage of the population, I don't know, but it seems like a lot. It seems like a high percentage of the population, just complete morons who don't want any information that adjusts their world viewpoint. Anyway, I sent you a film clip.
All right.
A short feature featuring what's his name?
What's his name?
You'll know his name when you say it. It's the Cumberbatch. The Cumberbatch.
Okay. But that's my story, I guess.
All right, then. In U.S. news, weather news, this is from Anita Snow. A likely name for the weather report lady, Anita Snow.
Amazing.
I need a snow here. I need a snow. Severe weather forecasts around U.S. with high southwest temperatures. This is from the AP News, by the way. It's her working on her own. With high southwest temperatures, Gulf rain, and Rockies snow. So severe weather all this week. Heat and cold temperatures are expected this week. U.S. officials warn Southwest residents to take precautions as a heat wave moves east, while heavy rains and flooding could drench the Gulf states and snow threatens parts of the Rockies in the Northwest. Extreme heat spread across Arizona, New Mexico, and parts of Texas, Colorado, and Kansas as severe weather swept across many parts of the U.S. on Sunday. There were unspeakable cold. Unseasonable, not unspeakable, very speakable. There was unseasonable cold in the Pacific Northwest. Snow headed to the northern Rocky Mountains, and heavy rain forecast from the northern plains, upper Midwest. The National Weather Service estimated more than 63 million people were under heat advisories on Sunday, stretching from the southwest upward through Denver into Chicago. Temperatures in Phoenix, which hit 112 degrees Fahrenheit or 44 Celsius on Saturday, eased slightly on Sunday to 110 degrees. You're going to notice that. Oh, it's only 110, but it's a dry heat. Weather Service forecasters say the first 2 weeks of June.
Basically.
Yeah, don't. If you go swimming in the dry heat, you'll get shivery because the water is evaporating so fast off your body. You'll be shivering, cold, even though it's 110. But it is definitely fun to jump in a pool when it's 110. No doubt about that. We have already seen some pretty significant high temperatures in our area, Ted Whitlock, meteorologist, National Weather Service, said in Phoenix. We are recommending that everyone reduce their time outdoors between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Stay heated, hydrated. Stay heated. That's not going to be a problem. Stay hydrated and wear light, looser fitting clothing. The heat in Metro Phoenix will ease up a bit Monday through Wednesday, with the highs pushing back up as the week progresses, likely prompting another excessive heat warning, Whitlock said. Heat has been especially dangerous in recent years in Metro Phoenix, where 645 people died from heat-related causes in 2023, which was a record. Phoenix famously is a retirement area, so I think a great deal of the people dying from the heat comes from the fact that they're elderly and they just don't get around that well. And, the air conditioner's way over there. And probably they don't realize how hot it is because it's a dry heat and the humidity doesn't really affect you in a dry heat. You don't feel it. Like out here in Maryland, I go outside and it's 85. I come back inside and I'm drenched. And all I did was walk to the mailbox. But it doesn't happen in Arizona. You just go outside and any moisture on you just evaporates. The city and Maricopa County, the city of Phoenix and Maricopa County have adopted additional measures this year in hoping to keep people safer, including 2 new overnight cooling centers where people can rest in air conditioning after the sun goes down. There are more than 100 other cooling centers that have been open since May 1st where people can get cold water and sit in a cool place during daytime hours. In neighboring New Mexico, a heat advisory was in effect over the weekend at Chavez County Plains, including Roswell, where the high was forecast at 107 degrees. The high for Albuquerque was 99. Sunday is forecast to cool slightly to 98 on Monday. All right. The high Sunday was 104 in El Paso, Texas, which opened 5 cooling centers. 105
hot everywhere.
Living in El Paso for 9 years, 104, it's another day in the summer. It's going to be, I think it was 90.
To brag about.
The year you were born, 1994, they had 100 days over 100 degrees in El Paso. So that was 30 years ago. Temperatures in Colorado range from 90 degrees in areas of metropolitan Denver Sunday to 100 degrees in the city of Pueblo, with the temperatures expected to surpass 100 degrees Fahrenheit Monday in the southern reaches of the state. The heat wave was moving eastward Sunday into the Plains and Great Lakes areas, where it was expected to arrive in the northeast by Tuesday. The threat of thunderstorms with potentially high winds and heavy rainfall increased in the Chicago area, even as the heat indices were forecast to reach near 100 degrees through the middle of the week. In Chicago, that's a problem, 100 degrees, because of the humidity. As the heat wave spreads eastward, temperatures in Washington, D.C. and the rest of the mid-Atlantic as well as New England, we're likely to see highs in the mid to upper 90s as the week progresses, with excessive humidity making it feel more oppressive. The U.S. last year saw the most heat waves, consisting of abnormally hot weather lasting more than 2 days since 1936. While much of the country swelters, late season snow is forecast in the northern Rockies Monday and Tuesday. Parts of Montana and north central Idaho are under a winter storm warning, with as much as 6 inches of heavy, wet snow expected in the mountains around Missoula, Montana. As much as 20 inches was predicted for higher elevations around Glacier National Park. Meanwhile, the fresh baths of tropical moisture will bring an increasing threat of heavy rain and flash flooding to the central Gulf Coast late Saturday and Monday. Heavy rain is expected to start Monday morning, with the moisture shifting toward the Gulf Coast by Tuesday. The intense flooding from heavy rains continue to dissipate in southern Florida, where some areas in and around Miami and Fort Lauderdale were left underwater in recent days as storms dumped up to 20 inches. The unnamed storm coincided with the early start of hurricane season, which this year is forecast to be among the most active in recent memory.
Oh, wow.
So as the summer weather, enjoy that summer weather, but it's going to be a hot summer, it looks like. And of course, Florida is increasingly going to be more and more underwater, and it ain't going to get better, Florida. Ain't somebody coming up with a big old fork to stop all that stuff anytime soon. Your 20 inches of rain is going to be the normal. Maybe not the normal, but certainly not as abnormal as it used to be. Back to you.
Okay. Yeah, stay safe out there and look at the sky and check what temperature is going to be all day. There's plenty of people who assume that they're going to be fine. We did get an update. That reminds me. There was a missing TV doctor from the UK who went missing in Greece, and he was found deceased because most likely it was very hot in Greece. They went for a walk thinking that it'll be fine, and then they died of heat stroke. So you need to be very careful, even if you don't feel like it's that warm outside. Always bring water, always wear that sunscreen, and drink plenty. And you don't have to save your water either. Your body does it for you, so just keep drinking. Some cases, if your body gets too hot, it will actually take everything in your bladder and reuse it as sweat. So your body knows what it's doing. Just drink that water and keep yourself hydrated, especially in that 100 plus Fahrenheit, which I think is like 40 plus Celsius temperatures.
Well, the best thing about dry heat is you can just get rid of it by standing in the shade.
Yeah.
Standing in the shade actually works in dry heat. There's no humidity. Temperature drops quite a bit. Oh, yep.
Okay, for our culture news, we're going to talk about the Tony Awards 2024. This is from Benjamin Lee on The Guardian. The 77th annual Tony Awards were dominated by major wins for shows Stereophonic, Merrily We Roll Along, and The Outsiders, as well as actors Jeremy Strong and Daniel Radcliffe. Stereophonic, the most nominated play in Tony's history with 13 nods, picked up 5 awards, including Best Play. It tells the story of a British-American rock band in the 1970s trying to make an album. Playwright David Adjemi spoke about how it took him 11 years to get it on stage. It's really hard to make a career in the arts, and we need to fund the arts in America, he said. It's really hard to make a career in the arts, and we need to fund the arts in America, he said on stage. The Guardian Gloria Oladipo called it a triumphant example of what happens when art has the time to develop in a 5-star review. A revival of Stephen Sondheim's one-time flop musical Merrily We Roll Along picked up 4 awards. The show, which initially closed abruptly after release in 1981, won Best Revival of a Musical, while stars Daniel Radcliffe and Jonathan Groff won for their performances. Jonathan Groff was the King George in Hamilton, the Hamilton play. He played the King of the UK in that play. So you probably know his face because he's a meme, basically, where he does his thing. He replies to the letter saying, my dad knows because Melanie, my younger sister, was basically listening to that play before I left America every single day for that whole summer. So I also know everything about Hamilton. Radcliffe thanked his parents for playing Sondheim in the car and called the play one of the best experiences of my life, while paying tribute to his cast and crew. I will never have it this good again, he said. Groff, who has been nominated twice before, gave an emotional speech in which he said that musical theater is still saving my soul, and paid tribute to his parents for allowing him to be himself. The Outsiders, based on S.E. Hinton's novel and produced by Oscar winner Angelina Jolie, was named Best Musical and picked up 3 other awards. Danya Taymor, niece of the famed director Julie Taymor, won for Best Direction in a year when women contend for the majority of directing nominees. Well, the Tonys are doing something right. Emmy-winning Succession star Jeremy Strong won for lead actor in the play for his performance in Enemy of the People, winning out against Liev Schreiber and William Jackson Harper. Called Henrik Ibsen's cautionary environmental play a cry from the heart, with difficult truths that are staring at us down right now. It's really sad that there's like plays that are made ages ago are still applicable. It's kind of sad. It's like, have we progressed at all? Have we progressed at all? Hell's Kitchen, loosely based on the life of Alicia Keys and featuring her music, picked up 2 awards for actor Malaya Joy Moon and Keisha Lewis. Keys also performed Empire State of Mind on stage with Jay-Z, because everyone knows that freaking song. Darkly comic family drama appropriate one for Best Revival of a Play and Best Actress in a Lead role for Sarah Paulson, who beat Jessica Lange and Rachel McAdams. She thanked playwright Brandon Jacobs Jenkins for giving her a character who had hope to be seen, and spoke of why theater is an important way of finding out what it means to be human. It also won for lighting design of a play. Host Ariana DeBose paid tribute to an ambitious Broadway season with 36 new productions. Headlines are frankly terrifying most of the time, but theater is a safe place for us all, she said. She later made a joke about her viral BAFTA rap from last year, claiming she is writing a 3-hour musical based on it. The night was filled with A-listers who had been behind the scenes this season, with Oscar winner Jolie, Oscar nominee Taraji P. Henson, and Hillary Clinton all in attendance. Clinton, who received a standing ovation, talked about the importance of voting during her introduction to a song from suffragette musical Suffs. There was also, I think she also got applause because people have been saying since the Trump conviction that she was right. He's a fucking criminal. So she's definitely getting that second wind of just like, I told you guys. If this guy gets elected, he's just gonna break a bunch of laws, and he did. Wow, what do you know? There's also a special tribute to Chita Rivera, who died in January, aged 91, led by Brian Stokes Mitchell, Audra McDonald, and B.B. Newworth. The air shimmered when she went on stage, Newworth said, with McDonald calling her one of the quintessential voices on Broadway. Nominated shows that came away empty-handed included The Notebook, Mary Jane, Days of Wine and Roses, Lempica, and Mother Play. The 2023 ceremony took place during the writer's strike, which meant that DeBose was also hosted last year, was left without a script for the night. Big winners last year included Tom Stoppard's family drama, Leopold Stott, and Jodie Comer. So there is your update on all those plays. I don't know if they're still showing, but if they are, I guess check them out. Especially, I guess, the big 3 winners, Merrily We Roll Along, The Outsiders, and Stereophonic. Merrily We Roll Along is a bad play, but it's supposed to be funny and kind of camp. So if you enjoy that kind of play, check that one out with Jeremy Strong and Daniel Radcliffe. I've been watching their interviews on YouTube and stuff, so they're very funny and they have great chemistry on the interviews anyway. So I'm sure they have great chemistry on the stage. Of course, Jeremy Strong is famous for being a spitter. Whenever he talks, he just spits all over the person he's talking to, which I can relate to because I'm also just spitting over my screen as I do these articles. And I guess this day in history.
All right, this day in history. On this day, very historic day, June 17th. I don't know if it's very historic. We'll find out. 1631 on this day, Mumtaz Mahal, wife of Mughal Emperor of Shah Jahan, died at childbirth, and in her memory, he built the Taj Mahal, the most famous building in India. In 1775, in the Battle of Bunker Hill, American colonial revolutionaries clashed with the British regulars during the Siege of Boston. In 1871, on this day, James Weldon Johnson was born, a poet, diplomat, and anthologist of African American culture. In 1930, the United States imposed a protectionist Smoot-Hawley tariff, raising the average tariff by some 20% and worsening an already beleaguered world economy. Yeah, tariffs are just taxes on people that gotta buy this stuff. And they make things expensive. 1940, the Soviet Red Army invaded Latvia, which led to an incorporation of the country into the USSR. You know, Stalin doing his Stalin thing, which is what Putin's trying to do. Look out, Latvia. You're next, man. You better be looking over your shoulder. You never know who Putin's targeting next. 1943, American pop singer and songwriter Barry Manilow was born, specialized in elaborately orchestrated romantic ballads. Barry Manilow at the Copacabana. That's the one Barry Manilow song I can't get out of my head. Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl. You want me to do the whole thing? I will.
Oh yeah,
1944.
Do the dance as well.
Well, long story short, she lost her love, she lost her mind, and now she's still at the Copacabana, but she's gone nuts in her old age. Poor Lola. 1944, Iceland declared itself a republic. It just got up and declared it itself. We're a republic. Take that. 1972, the Watergate, an office, apartment, hotel complex in Washington, D.C. that was the headquarters of the National Democratic National Committee, was broken into by 5 men who were later arrested, prompting the Watergate scandal that upended the administration of U.S. President Richard M. Nixon. Yes, the Watergate scandal started on this day with a break-in at a hotel. Yes, because there was business offices located in that hotel with files that they wanted. Yes. In 2012, African-American construction worker Rodney King, who was videotaped beating by the white Los Angeles Police Department officers in March 1991, sparked violent race riots. Well, Rodney King was found dead in a swimming pool in California on this day in 2012. Rest in peace, Rodney King. He didn't deserve to get hit all those times just for driving a car. 1994, on this day, O.J. Simpson was arrested. On this day in 1994, American gridiron football hero O.J. Simpson was charged with the murders of ex-wife Nicole Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. Though after a sensational trial, he was acquitted the following year. So it's O.J. Simpson arrest day. It's Rodney King's passed away day. And the Taj Mahal lady, the lady who died to inspire it. She died on this day. Feature biography is Igor Stravinsky, Russian composer. Stravinsky, born June 17th, 1882, in Lomonosov, Russia, and died April 6, 1971, in New York City, New York. As if there's another New York City. Other famous birthdays today: Dutch artist M.C. Escher, born in 1898.
Escher, famous. Yeah.
German Nazi leader. Here's what I'm talking about. We got to remember Martin Bormann's birthday. No, we don't. Newt Gingrich. Speaking of a Nazi, Newt Gingrich's birthday. Soon, 2 Nazis were born today. Martin Bormann in 1900 and Newt Gingrich in 1943. Of course, he's an American Nazi, hiding behind his politics of the Republican Party, which is basically a fascist party at this point. Just blatant fascist party. And he still supports him, so he's a fascist too. Also, the birthday of Kendrick Lamar, born in 1987.
The number 1 rap god and no one else. It's all him. He's the big one. As we went over with the big fight they had last month.
Oh, With Drake, that's right. Because Drake is Canadian or something. He's
Yeah.
nice or something. What's the issue with Drake? If he's Canadian, he's probably just too nice. And what national day is it today? Those are all the birthdays you can cover. National days: National Eat Your Vegetables Day, National Root Beer Day, National Apple Strudel Day, National Cherry Tart Day, National Mascot Day. It's National Mascot Day. You know what a mascot is? It's a guy for your sports team that gets in a really uncomfortable suit, hates his life, and dances around for like $7 an hour or something. Yay, mascot! Give yourself heat stroke. So those are your days for today, which is June 17th, 2024, on Before Apple Strudel.
Man, I wish I could make an apple strudel, but unfortunately I just don't have time, especially on Mondays. Mondays is my busiest day. I hope you guys are going to have a decent Monday, because I know it's still Monday, so it's not always going to be good. Stay safe out there.
It's Mucking Fun Day.
Yeah, drink water, take care of your plants, and feed your baby / pet baby. I don't know why I said that. We will see you tomorrow on Good Tuesday News Day, which will be good because I demand it. We demand that you have a good day on Tuesdays because Monday is over. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, which now I actually have a command for this, so I can post it in chat now on Twitch anyways. For the... Where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. You can check out Ally and Rod's channel in Twitch chat for subscribing to it and watching all of our videos so that we can one day become a YouTube partner. Thank you everyone for watching Before Coffee, the Father and Daughter News Show, where we're just winging it, and here is your mic drop moment.
Learn to say fuck you to the world every once in a while. You have every right to. You must practice being stupid. Dumb,
I practice being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
This is my entire life at this point.
You'll be able to do. Don't worry about cool.
Benedict Cumberbatch. I couldn't think of his first
Make
name.
your own. Make your own world. If you fear, make it work for you. Draw and paint your fear and anxiety, and stop worrying.
Why is he's doing it in an
things
American
such as
accent?
to decide on a purpose and way of life.
What makes you
a
think he's not
consistent
American?
Approach to even some impossible
I know he's not
or even
American.
an unimagined end.
He's not really
You are
Benedict
not
Cumberbatch.
responsible for the world.
It's just so interesting that he
Only
chose to do it in his...
responsible for your
When he
words,
speaks
so
his
just
American accent,
do
he does it
it.
very low. He speaks
Stop.
lower.
Maybe that's his accent. Maybe
Thinking.
this is his actual accent. Did you think of that? He just doesn't
Why?
have a thick British accent. He's an
Looking
actor.
over your shoulder, wondering, doubting,
not.
fearing, hurting, hoping for some easy way out.
Because he doesn't talk like
Struggle,
Maybe he's just a
BBC
chameleon. He's been
correspondent.
talking to
Mumbling,
Americans all
bumbling,
day, so he's just
grumbling,
speaking in an American
stumbling,
accent naturally.
Numbling, rambling, gambling, tumbling, scumbling,
Look
scrambling.
at the music in the
bitching,
background is going
bitching,
crazy, dude.
Moaning, groaning, honing, boning, horse shitting, hair splitting, nitpicking, piss trickling, nose sticking, ass gouging, eyeball poking, finger pointing, alleyway sneaking, long waiting, small stepping, evil eyeing, back scratching, searching, perching, besmirching, grinding, grinding, grinding away at yourself. Stop it and just do.
All right. There's your mic drop.
Yeah, just do it.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.